All right, gang, very important wine to do a video for. There's a lot to tackle here, and there's a lot to cover, and we're gonna do it really fast because I can talk really fast like this, and people will be like, oh, yeah, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna talk that fast, but I'm gonna talk fast. Anyway, Vouvray, Chenin Blanc, France. Those are some of the keywords, right? Some of the tags for this particular offer today, but there's a lot more to unpack than that. So, first of all, we're gonna start with the producer, Huguet Pinon. Huguet Pinon. Huguet Pinon doesn't exist. I know, weird, right? The winery, from what we could read, closed its doors in 2018. Apparently, this could be a typical situation where the family who owned the winery was older, maybe an older couple, didn't have heirs to bequeath the winery to, and then went about the process to slowly, over a period of time, of liquidating stocks. This is not uncommon in France, especially with inheritance laws, children not interested in assuming the family business. This happens, okay? So basically, we're talking about a winery from a winery that wine from a winery that no longer exists. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we tried to do some research in the winery, and there was none. All right, these people must not have been like old, but they must have been like old, right? Like super, like old, and didn't even have a website. They had no mention of them anywhere other than the fact that there was a Google entry saying that the winery was closed. That is it. Now, the other funny part of this is the two names here, Huguet and Pinon, are actually two very famous names in the area of Vouvray in the Loire Valley, where we're at, the Loire Valley in central France. And you know, there's a famous Huguet winery, Maurice Huguet, and then there's a famous Pinon winery, Julien and Francois Pinon. We saw nothing on an Huguet Pinon winery. So I have no idea what the hell's going on. You have two great names in the bottle with no information about where this wine actually came from. Next thing to unpack, it's old, but it's not old, okay? It's old in like the, whoa, that's old, yeah? Because 1986 on paper is old. Not to me, because I'm middle-aged, but to younger people, this is old, like good Lord old, right? And at 30, so 86 carried to 1 divided by pi 14, 37 years old. Is that weird? No, not in the Loire Valley. The Loire Valley, a lot of the producers there are known for having older stocks of their wines. Storage there seems to come along a little easier. There's a lot of caves, you know, these old kind of limestone caves, these caves carved out of the tufa, and you could store stuff for a really long time there under really perfect conditions. So it's not uncommon for producers in the Loire Valley to carry older stocks of their wine. Well, why would they carry older stocks of white wine? That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. The grape in question is Chenin Blanc, and it is in fact one of the most age-worthy grapes on the planet. Chenin Blanc ages at least as well, if not better, than Chardonnay, and probably up there with Riesling with regards to its ageability. These stocks, these wines can go back 40, 50 years, as we'll taste and see in the drop of a hat. Now, the story. When we went sourcing in Europe last year, we came across this wine from one of our agents. And I came across a slew of vintages, and I know what the great vintages are, right? So I requested samples of 83, 86, 89, 90. These are all outstanding vintages in the Loire Valley, and for white wine in general in France during the 80s into the early 90s. And they had samples of all of these wines available, and we were just tickled pink. So we went to the agent, tasted the wines, we tasted a range of about half a dozen, and we picked the two best. This is the first one we're featuring today, but we will be talking about a 1983 later on down the line. Now, when I open the bottle, you're gonna notice that, okay, this is the question we get. Oh, I opened the wine and it's got stuff on the top. This is good stuff. Do not send me back this wine if you open the bottle and this stuff is on the top. The stuff is on the top of every cork. This means this wine sat in the cellars under perfect temperature-controlled conditions and didn't move for almost 40 years, right? This is from the cellar. This is fabulous. They scraped it off a bit, right? They took all the heavy stuff off, but I don't think they took the time to really like get in there, you know? So it's a little discolored on top, but that's perfectly normal. That's exactly what the wine looks like in the cellars when you go and visit. Any old wine in any old cellar in Europe, it looks like that. So don't be alarmed or surprised. And as you can tell, these wines were not recorked. These are all original corks. from this producer from the time they were originally bottled. Accordingly, when you're dealing with an older original cork, we highly recommend buying the Durand cork puller. It's pricey but amazing. If you don't have a Durand, we recommend an Osso style prong cork puller for these older bottles. If you don't have either one of those and you're using this, be prepared. Probably about half the time these corks are going to split on you. Not just because the wine is bad or the wine is corked or it's old. That's what happens with old corks. It doesn't matter. It could be Lafite, it could be Romanée-Conti, it doesn't matter. You're going to have this issue with older corks. Now, half the time they come out just fine. Especially the corks from the 80s, because the corks from the 80s were a stronger quality than the corks from the 90s. A video for a later date, but trust me on that one. So I'm gonna open this with a regular corkscrew, and we'll see how we go. Looking good. Do it slowly. Grab the cork, give it a little pull there at the end, boom, out, straight out, perfect, all right? Original cork, it is a little saturated. We also hear when people open older wines, oh, I opened it and the cork was wet. That's okay. It is a 40-year-old cork. Give it a break. You're fine, okay? Don't worry about the cork being wet. The fact that it came out in one piece, pretty much, might be a little bit down there, is awesome. Now that we've covered the whole cork thing, scooge in the top, don't worry about it. Cork breaks when you open it, don't worry about it. All right, moving on. 37-year-old wine. Looks like a Chardonnay that was bottled yesterday. The color is remarkable. The provenance is perfect. This was pulled from the cellars in the Loire Valley, sent to a warehouse in Beaune temporarily for consolidation in Burgundy, and then sent to us on refrigerated container, hitting the doors now. Perfect condition, Vouvray, Chenin Blanc, done in what they call, you'll see on the label, a Demi-Sec style. Back in the day, there was 3 styles of Vouvray: sec, dry, Demi-Sec, half dry, which means lightly fruity, and then moelleux. Moelleux would be like the sweeter dessert style wine. Now there's another style making its way in called tendre, which splits the difference between sec and Demi-Sec. But in truth, this is a classic Demi-Sec style of Vouvray. Now, first of all, what happens with older Vouvray, just like with older Riesling, the slightly fruitier styles will start tasting less sweet after a certain period of time. That baby fat wears off, and the wine starts turning into what's perceived as a slightly drier style of wine. The alcohol is the same, the sugars are the same, but the wine starts tasting drier with bottle age. There's a little touch of the cellar in this wine, which I absolutely adore. Like, there's a little hint of the cave, especially when you first open it with aeration that actually diminishes. So when you first open it, have a look. If you like that little hint of, like in Bordeaux, that little hint of the cave type deal, the cave, the cellar, it's in there. Beyond that, peach, stone fruit, tropical, hints of pineapple, maybe a little touch of botrytis, not much. This 86 seems almost clean of botrytis, actually, that Botrytis cinerea, the noble rot that they use in the great Sauterne wines of France, which also attacks the grapes here in Vouvray, but in vintages like 86, not so much, at least not in this wine. I imagine this wine was all aged either in older barrels or large tanks for an extended period of time prior to bottling. And basically, I think the proprietors, bless their hearts, bottled it, stuck it in the corner, and forgot about it until they pulled up stakes in 2018. What a treat. Kids, this wine still has years ahead of it. This is house wine for me right now. I'm drinking 2 bottles of this a week. Well, I will until you guys buy it all. But until you guys buy it all, I'm drinking 2 bottles a week. It's absolutely beautiful. The finish is almost bone dry. Yeah, almost bone dry. There's just a little hint of fruitiness in the center palate. Other than that, this wine's bone dry. Wonderful center, great length, great acidity, fabulous acidity. The wine is not fat, nor heavy, nor cloying. It is aged. It is showing secondary characters. I dare say it's not showing tertiary characters at almost 40 years old. Just look at the color. This is remarkable stuff. This is drinking history. And what an opportunity for us to score these wines. Approximately 30 cases of this available. We're selling it for, I think, we should raise the price. No, we won't, don't worry, we won't. We're selling it for like $25 a bottle. To drink liquid history at this level, that is just stupid. And that's exactly why we bought it. And this is what you guys expect from us on our direct import program here at Wine Exchange. And hopefully we delivered for you. This wine's a serious gem, and look at me drinking it. I'm not like running off stage and spitting it or fake drinking it or anything like that. This wine's going down the old pie hole, folks, and it should go down yours. Cheers.